Attention passionate Cleveland, BROWNS. Latest news, something big is happening in the AFC North and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Cleveland Browns' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Cleveland Browns fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Cleveland, BROWNS. Let's get to the news now, folks. If you've been paying close attention to the NFL landscape lately, you know that the quarterback position remains the most critical and sometimes the most unpredictable aspect of any team's success. And right now, the Cleveland Browns are sitting at a fascinating crossroads, especially with the recent developments in the league concerning some of the most promising young quarterbacks. While Cleveland is focused on their current roster and their quest for another deep playoff run, the ripple effects from the NFL's quarterback carousel could have serious consequences for them in the near future. But what exactly is happening, and how does it all connect to the Browns? Well, it's a story that involves a potential shift in power, a strategic move that could redefine the division and alter Cleveland's plans for the upcoming seasons. The NFL has always been a league that thrives on the quarterback position, and the current landscape is no different. Teams like the Miami Dolphins, Carolina Panthers, New Orleans Saints, and even the Dallas Cowboys are all keeping a close eye on the quarterback market, especially when it comes to young and talented signal callers like Shedeur Sanders. Now, Sanders, for those who might not be fully up to date, is a young quarterback with a lot of promise. He's been making waves in college and has been considered a potential high draft pick in the upcoming NFL draft. But as things stand right now, the NFL insiders are buzzing about the possibility that a team might trade for him sooner rather than later, and that could have huge implications for the Browns and their division rivals. Let's start with the Miami Dolphins, a team that had high hopes entering the season. After a disappointing Week 1 performance, especially from their starting quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, the Dolphins are reportedly considering drastic measures. Tua, who has been a bright spot for Miami in recent years, had arguably his worst game ever against the Indianapolis Colts. He was shut out for 3 quarters in that game, and his star wide receiver, Tyreek Hill, was visibly frustrated on the sidelines, which is never a good sign when your top pass catcher is showing signs of dissatisfaction. Now, that game raised serious questions about whether Tua can be the franchise quarterback Miami needs to make a real Super Bowl run, especially when considering the overall performance and the team's expectations. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Rumors are swirling that Miami might be forced to look elsewhere, possibly turning to the draft or even considering a trade to acquire a quarterback like Shedeur Sanders. You see, Sanders is a player who's been gaining a lot of attention, not just for his talent, but because of the potential fit in an offense that emphasizes speed, improvisation, and big play capability. The Dolphins, who have a history of aggressive offseason moves, could see Sanders as a long-term solution if Tua doesn't bounce back to his previous form. However, interestingly enough, there's also news that Sanders might not even be available to play during the 2025 season, which adds a layer of complexity to any potential trade. Still, even if he's not ready to step onto the field immediately, teams like Miami might see his upside as worth the investment, especially if they believe that he could develop into a franchise quarterback with the right coaching and patience. But let's not forget about the Cleveland Browns, who are in a very different position, but also watching these developments closely. Despite losing a close game against the Cincinnati Bengals, Cleveland's front office remains confident in their veteran quarterback Joe Flacco, who has been brought in as a stabilizing presence and a mentor for the team's younger players. Flacco, with his experience and leadership, could be the bridge for Cleveland if their young prospects aren't ready yet. But at the same time, the team is also aware of the broader league trends and the potential for quarterback upgrades in the future. If, for example, a team like Miami or even the Saints or Cowboys sees value in Sanders and makes a move, Cleveland could find themselves in a position to either acquire a talented quarterback or face increased competition in the pursuit of a signal caller who can elevate their offense. Now, looking at the other teams mentioned, the Carolina Panthers have been trying to rebuild after a tough Week 1 loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. Their young quarterback Bryce Young didn't have the best game, and that's putting it mildly. The Panthers have the offensive weapons, and they are hoping that Young can develop into a franchise player, but the early signs aren't exactly glowing. With a 10-26 loss, there's a lot of pressure on Young to improve quickly, and the coaching staff, led by head coach Dave Canales, is under pressure to get this offense firing on all cylinders. There's also the veteran Andy Dalton, who is just seen as a temporary solution, a bridge quarterback for the team, not necessarily the future. So, if Young doesn't show significant improvement, and if the team's offensive struggles continue, it's entirely possible that Carolina might look elsewhere, perhaps even eyeing Sanders as a future upgrade. Meanwhile, the New Orleans Saints are also in the mix, having lost their game in Week 1, but the performance of Spencer Rattler has been surprisingly encouraging. Rattler has shown the ability to get the ball out quickly and put his receivers in good positions, which is a positive sign for a young quarterback trying to establish himself in the league. The Saints are still fine-tuning their offense under head coach Kellen Moore, and they're hoping to see steady progression. But with injuries to key players like Chris Olave, who nearly got hurt again, the team's depth and health will be critical factors in their success moving forward. If things don't improve, and if the Saints' offense struggles to find consistency, they might turn to the quarterback market, and Sanders could very well be on their radar as a future solution. And then there's the Dallas Cowboys, a team that's been the subject of much speculation regarding their quarterback situation. Originally, many fans and analysts thought that Shedeur Sanders might be a good backup or developmental quarterback behind Dak Prescott. There was a lot of excitement about the possibility of Sanders fitting into the Cowboys' offense, especially given their emphasis on a strong running game and explosive passing. But things changed with the trade for Joe Milton, which shifted the team's plans. Still, depending on how the season unfolds, if Prescott gets injured or underperforms, the Cowboys might reconsider their options and look to bring Sanders into the fold as a potential starter or at least a valuable backup. Now, bringing this all back to Cleveland, what does it mean for the Browns? Well, Cleveland has been building steadily, focusing on their defense and their core of young talent. But they know that the quarterback position is still the most vital piece for a Super Bowl contender. With the league's shifting dynamics and the possibility that other teams might be interested in Shedeur Sanders, the Browns could find themselves in a strategic position. They might choose to stay patient with Flacco for now, but if the right opportunity arises, or if Sanders becomes available through a trade, Cleveland could be in a prime spot to make a bold move. It's no secret that the Browns have been aggressive in the past when it comes to improving their roster. Remember the acquisitions of players like Deshaun Watson, and how they've been willing to take calculated risks to reach the top. Looking at the current season, Cleveland's defense is still one of the best in the league, and their offensive line has shown resilience. The performance of their young skill players, combined with the veteran leadership of Flacco, gives them a fighting chance every week. But the quarterback remains the key piece. If they can add a game-changing talent, whether through internal development or external acquisition, it could be the final piece that pushes them over the edge. The NFL is a league where the margins are razor-thin, and the teams that make the smartest moves at the right time often find themselves in the Super Bowl. It's also worth noting that the league's landscape is in constant flux. Injuries, unexpected breakout performances, coaching changes, all these factors can suddenly alter the picture. Cleveland, with their solid roster and strong organizational culture, is always lurking as a contender, but they must stay alert to these opportunities. The potential trade for a young quarterback like Sanders, or even waiting for the right veteran to emerge as a free agent or via trade, could be the difference maker for their season and beyond. So, as we watch what unfolds in the coming weeks, keep an eye on the quarterback market, especially with young guns like Shedeur Sanders. The NFL's quarterback carousel is spinning faster than ever, and the Browns are right in the middle of this high-stakes game. They have the talent, the coaching, and the resilience to compete at the highest level, but they also know that a franchise quarterback can elevate everything. Whether they choose to hold tight with Flacco or make a bold move, one thing is clear: Cleveland is always aiming for greatness, and this season might just be the one where they make a decisive move that sets up a new chapter in their storied history. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Cleveland Browns news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. Looking ahead, the Browns have every reason to be optimistic. Their roster is deep, they have a coaching staff that's proven capable of developing talent, and the division remains highly competitive. The AFC North is arguably one of the toughest divisions in the league, with teams like the Ravens, Bengals, and Steelers all fighting for supremacy. But Cleveland's combination of a stout defense and a versatile offense keeps them in the mix. The question remains, will they make a move for a young quarterback like Sanders if the opportunity presents itself? Or will they continue to develop their existing talent and focus on other strategic avenues? Either way, the coming months will be crucial in shaping the future of this franchise. And of course, the fans are buzzing. Cleveland is known for its passionate fan base that's always hungry for success. They remember the days of the dog pound, the playoff runs, and the hope of returning to that level of excellence. The team's front office is aware of this passion and understands that making the right moves can ignite that excitement even further. So whether it's through internal development or a bold trade, Cleveland is poised to stay competitive and keep their eyes on the prize, another shot at the Super Bowl. And now, Cleveland Browns fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on all of these developments? Do you think the Browns should be looking at the quarterback market, or do you believe in Joe Flacco's leadership for now? Would you want them to pursue a young talent like Sanders if the chance arises? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinions matter so much to us, and they help shape the conversation around this team. Remember, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned and keep supporting your Browns. This is a team with a bright future, and with the right decisions, they can make this season unforgettable. Thanks for sticking with me, and as always, go Browns.